Imagine this, a predator stands over a helpless newborn. The baby belongs to the species she normally hunts. By every rule of biology, this should last seconds. Instead, she nudges it to its feet, keeps it close, keeps it alive, not for a few minutes, not for a day, for years. For hundreds of millions of years, evolution has favored one strategy: pass on your own genes. Every meal costs energy. Every injury carries risk. Life in the wild is a relentless calculation. So why would an animal spend precious time, food, and protection raising a baby that isn't its own? Sometimes a baby from the very species it normally eats? That shouldn't happen. And yet it does not often. But often enough that biologists have spent decades trying to explain it. Dolphins nursing whale calves. Lionesses guarding baby antelope. Primates raising orphaned monkeys from another species entirely. Birds unknowingly raising the offspring of their greatest rivals. At first, scientists dismissed these as flukes. But the pattern kept repeating, and always in the same kinds of animals: dolphins, elephants, great apes, lions. Some of the most socially intelligent creatures on Earth. So what's really happening? Instinct? A hormonal glitch? Or something more surprising about how intelligence changes the rules of survival? The dolphin in 2014, marine biologists surveying wild bottlenose dolphins near Rangiroa Atoll, French Polynesia, spotted a female swimming with her own calf and a second youngster beside them. They assumed it was another dolphin calf. It was a melon-headed whale. Different species, different social groups, different vocalizations. Yet this orphan wasn't just tolerated, it was family. The female protected it, kept it close, and researchers even observed it nursing alongside her biological calf. The bond lasted nearly 3 years. Raising a marine mammal is enormously expensive. Rich milk, years of teaching, thousands of hours of protection. An investment evolution built specifically to pass on her own genes. Giving that away to another species looks, at first glance, irrational. The first explanation scientists reached for was hormones. After birth, chemicals like oxytocin and prolactin flood a mammal's system, making mothers intensely responsive to cries and vulnerability, sometimes responsive enough to misfire onto the wrong target. Researchers call this misdirected parental care. The system working exactly as designed, just aimed at the wrong infant. That explains a brief encounter. It's harder to stretch across 3 years. Lionesses in 2002, rangers in Kenya's Samburu National Reserve began watching a lioness they nicknamed Kamunyak do something impossible. Instead of killing a newborn oryx, she guarded it, rested beside it, chased off other predators, guided it back when it wandered too far. Over the next year, she repeated this with several oryx calves. Each time ended in tragedy. The calves couldn't nurse from a lion, and most eventually died or were taken by other predators. Yet she kept adopting new ones. No explanation fully fits. Hormones, grief over lost cubs of her own, or simply the cognitive flexibility of a highly social predator. The honest answer is, we don't know. And that's exactly what keeps researchers coming back to it. The twits. The cuckoo. Before we romanticize this as animal compassion, consider the common cuckoo, because not every cross-species adoption is chosen. A female cuckoo lays her egg in the nest of a smaller bird, like a reed warbler. The cuckoo chick hatches first and often shoves the warbler's own eggs out of the nest. The parents return to one enormous, hungry stranger and feed it tirelessly. Not because they've chosen to, because they've been deceived. The chick has evolved exaggerated begging calls and mouth markings that hijack the parent's instincts with ruthless efficiency. This isn't compassion. It's a caregiving system being exploited. That contrast matters. Cross-species care isn't one phenomenon. It's several different mechanisms wearing the same costume. Manipulation in the cuckoo, hormonal misfire in brief encounters, and something else entirely in the dolphin, the lioness, and the primates that follow. The pet and look at the species behind the most convincing voluntary adoptions: dolphins, elephants, great apes, lions, and a pattern emerges. These animals live in complex social worlds. They recognize individuals, cooperate, hold long-term relationships, console distressed companions, grieve their dead. Some even pass the mirror self-recognition test. Social life at that level demands behavioral flexibility, the ability to adjust rather than simply run on fixed instinct. That flexibility is one of intelligence's greatest strengths. It may also be the source of these strange exceptions. In 2004, researchers studying wild capuchin monkeys in Brazil documented an infant marmoset, a smaller monkey from an entirely different genus, being absorbed into a capuchin troop. Adults carried it, protected it, shared food with it, and adjusted their movements to accommodate it. This wasn't a one-off reaction to a crying baby. It required sustained behavioral adjustment day after day. That's the key distinction. A brain built to track relationships, alliances, and social nuance is almost by definition less rigid than one running on pure instinct. Occasionally, that flexibility spills past the species line it evolved to serve. Scientists are careful here. This isn't proof of human-like empathy, but it isn't proof of mindless instinct either. The truth sits in between. Behavior shaped by instinct, nudged by hormones, and reshaped by a genuinely adaptable brain. It matters. Go back to the opening image. A predator standing over a helpless newborn. By every rule of survival, the story should end in seconds. Instead, the predator lowers its head, and the story becomes something evolution alone can't fully predict. Sometimes maternal hormones blur the line between species. Sometimes ancient caregiving instincts fire at the sight of a vulnerable infant, no genetic relationship required. Sometimes, as with the cuckoo, those instincts are exploited outright. And in the most socially intelligent animals, sheer behavioral flexibility may let care drift beyond the boundaries it originally evolved to protect. No single explanation covers every case, and it probably never will, because nature doesn't run on one rule. The same evolutionary pressures that produced claws also produced caregiving. The same competition that rewards ruthlessness also rewards cooperation. Violence and compassion aren't opposites in nature. They're both products of the same long history, expressed under different circumstances. Cross-species adoption doesn't break evolution. It reveals how sophisticated evolution solutions can be. Flexible systems capable of responding to situations no ancestor ever prepared them for. We still don't know exactly what these animals experience, or how much is instinct versus learning versus something we don't yet have words for. What we do know is that the closer we look, the less nature fits into simple categories. It isn't simply cruel. It isn't endlessly compassionate. It's something far stranger and far more interesting than either. Because sometimes the most remarkable thing in nature isn't that the rules were broken. It's discovering the rules were never as simple as we thought.